Hello, I'm Sally Brown,
I'm Kay Sambell.
and together we're going to talk to you today about feedback and why it really matters. For us, it's more than just a matter of how quickly you get the marks back to students or the comments or whatever. We know so much more than we did 10 years ago about what works with assessment, and today we want to talk to you particularly about how important it is to make feedback constructive, compassionate, and actionable. That is to say, we're talking about the commenting practices to try and make sure that everything we do is clear to the students, focuses on the work in front of us rather than the personality of the student or their characteristics, that uses a tone that's both honest and respectful. If we want students to take any note of what we're doing, it has to be both of those things. It also needs to be manageable, not only for the staff in how we actually manage giving feedback to the students, but also by the students. They've got to find the feedback manageable by then, in that there have to be a realistic number of action points that they can see are actually something they can do with and make a difference to their work. Kay.
Great, thanks, Sally. Well, as you're saying, there's been a huge body of work on feedback over the past decade or so, and literature and the feedback experts are really telling us that the way we need to rethink our concepts of feedback in higher education, we might need to change a little bit, because so often the idea of doing feedback has become almost exclusively associated with the comments that tutors write on individual work, just like you were talking about, Sally. Often when it's been submitted for marking. So, as Naomi Winston and Dave Bowd tell us, we might need to untangle that a bit. And because, as Sadler says, students don't learn as much as we'd hope through being told, no matter how kindly and carefully we craft the feedback message. So, the experts are telling us they need much more active involvement in feedback processes. So new perspectives on feedback also emphasise that to be effective, ideas about successful feedback have got to extend beyond notions that feedback is principally about teachers informing students about their strengths, their weaknesses, and how to improve. And it needs to place much more emphasis on the question of how we build feedback processes into our courses to support students' self-evaluation of their own progress. So we need to take a deeper look at our feedback designs and try to create opportunities for students to gauge how they're going by embedding feedback events and feedback opportunities in learning and teaching episodes in the run-up to assessment, so we infuse them into teaching. Here, what we're talking about isn't really about giving more comments, it's about thinking carefully about how we as educators help students engage with guidance and feedback processes along the way, so they can see what's expected, so they can see how they're going, and they can see what else to try. So it's really about building in opportunities for students to learn about how they're doing by participating in practice and getting intrinsic feedback, which they derive from having a go at something, seeing if stuff works out and seeing how else it might be done, and having a chance to learn about what good work looks like and what's really expected by engaging in lots of ongoing dialogue, often in whole group contexts, where they have loads of interactive exchanges which help them develop a nose for quality and help to close any gap between differing staff and student expectations and perceptions of feedback. And so a key emphasis here is on the social and the interactive. And because dialogic or informal feedback is all about clarifying and exploring the meanings of criteria, standards and all that kind of thing, through discussion, we can do it through things like dialogic analysis of exemplars, or we could use in-class interactions using clicker questions, or we could use a whole host of other developmental activities where students are doing stuff and they get a chance to learn through having a go, through making mistakes, and through seeing how other people tackle tasks during the actual process of learning itself, not just when it counts for marks.
So there you have it. We believe that feedback is just about the most important activity in which you can engage with your students. Feedback can make the difference to how students feel about the programme, how they feel about themselves. It can make a difference to what they achieve, what they become later on through the work they're undertaking, and indeed how successful they are in your programmes. We thoroughly commend this approach to feedback to you.